It's Brock here with Rock Hill Farms, and I'm here today to work on this driveway, but I've got a limited amount of rock to do it with. I can only haul 4 tons at a time. There are 4 parking spots here. Now this has been rocked before, but grass is growing across it because it's been a long time, and we've actually got some little mud puddles and places where it's washed out, and it's becoming a nuisance. Now I'm also here to pick up some wood from a tree I cut down, but every time I come to pick up some of that wood, I'm gonna bring some rock and do some repair on this driveway. I'm thinking that if I mix it up first, drop the scarifiers on the box blade and dig into this first, and then dump the 4 tons, I might be able to do 1/3 of the driveway each trip. But we'll just have to see how far the rock actually goes, because the first few times I've hauled a load, I got there and dumped it and was kind of disappointed that it just didn't go as far as I wanted. 4 tons sounds like a lot, 8,000 pounds of rock, but you know, the rock's just heavy. It just doesn't go as far as you would think it does. So anyway, I've got the tractor set up. I'm gonna put the rippers down and start tearing into this, break it up. Hopefully there's still a lot of rock here. So I was wanting to get all of the rock here today and try to do this whole driveway, but if you haven't already seen it, I had an issue with the way the rock was loaded into the trailer, and I almost lost control of the load. I had to stop and manually redistribute all that weight, and then on top of that I found out the rock yard nearest this property is only open until 3, and there was just no way I was going to get multiple loads of rock here today. So I decided to make the best of the situation and fix this as well as I could with 1 trip. This house is about an hour from my house, and normally I probably wouldn't take a job this far away, but this is my sister's house, and so I just wanted to help her out, so I agreed to this job. And then I also had the additional complication that I needed to bring the dump trailer, and I also needed to bring the box blade. Well, I can't fit the tractor into the dump trailer with the box blade. So basically what I'm saying is I spent quite a bit of time this morning just swapping attachments and getting everything loaded up and set up to haul here. It's kind of hard to tell on the video, but this is a 50% mix of rock and dirt. So I think mixing it up the way I did helped me get a better foundation to spread the new rock on. If you notice, I left 1 patch that still had the grass there and I didn't rip through it. It's because there's concrete in 1 spot right there in the center where they used to have a flagpole set in the ground, and it looks like the pole snapped off, but the concrete's still there. So I had to work around it.
So loosening everything up with the rippers and then leveling it back out was pretty simple. The only complication I normally have is that the grass clumps from the sod are a little bit harder to spread. A lot of times I would back drag this with the bucket, but once again, trying to conserve space when hauling the tractor with the dump trailer, I didn't bring the bucket. So what I wanted to try was back dragging with the grapple, and you're about to see some footage of that. I thought it might do a better job in some regards at actually breaking up the clumps, and it really didn't do too bad. I found I could back drag just as well as I could with the bucket, although it did carry a little more material than I was expecting. The only downside to back dragging is if you want a smooth look, the bucket does that better, whereas back dragging with this Artillian grapple leaves grooves in the dirt that you can tell where the tines were, which isn't a big deal for this base layer at all, but I didn't like the way it looked on the rock. It actually works a little bit better for pushing forward on a pile than the bucket does, because the bucket has a tendency to dig in with that straight edge, but I had better luck putting the grapple parallel to the ground and pushing the pile forward. I really didn't think I was going to get a good straight pour and empty the entire load on one pass down this little stretch of driveway. That tailgating couldn't have worked out any better. Back at my house, I've got so much area that we keep rock on, and I keep expanding that. So when I get a load of rock, I've always been ordering 40 tons or 80 tons. I think overall I've ordered 250 tons of rock, and I can put on such a thick layer that way. And right here I was spreading it pretty thin, and I wanted it to look nice. My sister was at work, and when she came home I wanted her to kind of be impressed with the way it looked, because she'd been parking in a muddy area, and it was really easy to end up with dirt on top of the rock here. So once I saw how this rock wasn't going to go as far as I wanted, I started to slow down and really spread it a little more slowly. So after I do the other 2 parking spots, I think I'll add another load on top just to give it a little more thickness. But like I said, there's already quite a bit of rock underneath this, so it's got a good base layer. I know that there's a better way to do this, putting down geotextile fabric and then a layer of clean, larger diameter rock, and then the fine rock like this, and layering it in to where it's gonna hold up more long term, but that isn't necessarily in the budget for every project. So sometimes we just do the best we can. Right now, it looks like I don't have enough rock to do the back part of this, but what you can't see is that there's actually some really thick spots, especially up at the front. And the front still has a layer of rock. That had never grown over. So I was able to push a lot of that back and end up with a pretty decent covering. Now you'll see me try to back drag with the grapple. And like I said, I was happy with the way it did as far as a first attempt at back dragging with it. After seeing how far this first load got me, and this is 4 tons, I would say I'm going to need a total of about 20 tons to do this whole area in even a moderate thickness. When I started spreading this, I was putting too much pressure on it for how thin of a layer I was trying to do, and I felt like I was messing it up. It seems funny to say this, but I've put a lot of hours on this box blade, and just doing this little project right here, I felt like I was kind of getting the hang of working out some of these ridges or just an overall waviness in the area. So it's something you're just always going to improve at the more you do it.
Well, that was kind of what I was afraid of. That rock didn't go very far. Without actually measuring, I don't know if I got about 1/3 of it or 1/4 of it, but I'm going to have to do this probably 4 times. I'm thinking 3 times will cover the width, and then a 4th layer just to smooth out and thicken it up a little bit. I definitely think it was a good idea to rip it up beforehand. Even though that made more work, having a more uniform base layer should help this settle in better. Like where that big hole was, if I had just dumped a bunch of rock in there, then that's the first place that's going to wash back out. That's the theory anyway. So I appreciate you taking time to watch this video. In just a minute, you'll see links on the screen to a couple more of our videos, and I'll see you next time.